Hi, I'm Parker Powers from American Income Life, a division of Globe. I spoke with you about your benefits through Clayton Slaughter. Is Mary there? Okay, great. Well, I have your benefits right here. I really love they have me using Zoom. It makes things go by a lot faster. So don't worry, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So let me go ahead and get started. While I get this set up, let's learn a little bit about each other. Now, I know you're both dying to know. So let me tell you exactly why I'm visiting with you and what I'm going to do. My job is to go over some of the no-cost benefits that have already been set up for you. Then I'm going to go over some additional benefits that you both might qualify for. So, my company, American Income, works with over 20,000 different local labor unions, credit unions, and associations throughout the entire United States. And look, whether you like unions or you don't, the thing that everyone can agree on is that they do provide the best benefits. Now, a big reason for that is because of the relationship they have with American Income for the past 60 plus years. Now, as you can imagine, they have me running around like crazy. So let me go ahead and get started and we'll jump right into your first no cost benefit. So Joe and Mary, your first no cost benefit is the Child Safe ID Kit mobile app, which is endorsed by the International Union of Police Associations. Now, I'm sure you know a bunch of families with kids, right? Well, did you know that Texas actually leads the nation in abductions? And did you know that 93% of children that aren't found within the first 24 hours are actually never found? Now, that's why they decided to create the most comprehensive mobile app of its kind to help find a missing child. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the process of how to download and install this app. Of course, it's free of charge to you. And now that you have the app downloaded, imagine if your child went missing. Can you see how important this would be? Being the endorsed company by the International Union of Police Associations, they are asking that you refer at least 5 families to the app. Now, you mentioned you knew families with children, right? And everyone always wants to put down dozens of names, but let's just start with the people that are closest with you. What's the first that comes to mind? Now, Joe and Mary, your next no-cost benefit is the free will and testament kit that you requested. Have you had a chance to establish a free will and testament? You have not? Well, in the United States, a simple will can cost up to $1,000 or more. Now, of course, this is depending on the complexity of it. The Free Will Kit program partnered with American Income to distribute these kits at no cost to you because of the company's reputation and history of helping families. So let me review the Free Will Kit with you. And it's important that once you get the kit filled out, you follow all of the instructions and you keep it in a secure and safe place. So Joe and Mary, this is actually one of my favorite no-cost benefits. It's the AIL Plus discount card. So how are your benefits through work? Well, let me tell you this, you're going to absolutely love this. I'm sure you know by now that you can't rely on your group benefits since you don't control them and they can change at any time. So this no-cost benefit will help you with some of those gaps by giving you an 85% discount on things like dental, vision, prescription drugs, hearing aids, telemedicine, and chiropractic services. So your membership requires an annual renewal, and that is, of course, at no cost to you. Excuse me. We'll let you know when it's time to renew. You won't even have to think about it. People always tell me that they didn't think they'd use it very much, but they find themselves using it all the time. So again, it's at no cost to you, and it's good to have that extra peace of mind. So what you'll do is you'll receive an activation email in the next few days. So make sure you're on the lookout for that. Now, your final no-cost benefit is the accidental death and dismemberment certificate that your letter talked about. Joe, this is a living benefit that pays you $2,000 for the loss of one hand, one foot, or sight in one eye, and double that amount, or $4,000, for the loss of any two. Mary, for you, this is a death benefit that would pay you $4,000 should Joe die accidentally. Now, I know that $4,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money in this world, and truthfully, it's not. But if Joe were to die, his paycheck would die with him. And I'd imagine that would put a crunch in your budget, wouldn't it? So you can see how this would definitely help, right? So let me go ahead and email you a certificate for your records. You'll receive a green certificate in the mail, and you want to fill it out completely and send it to the PO box in the top corner to ensure that you are covered. So one more thing I need to do is you to put 2 emergency contacts on here in the event you were to die together in a common accident. Now, it would be wise if they do live in Texas, are over the age of 18, and living outside of your home. Who is your first emergency contact? Excuse me. Your second? Now, when something happens, you're going to need our local office number. Can you grab your phone from me real fast? Okay. The number is 832-327-0800. Again, that number is 832-327-0800. So your family gets the money that they're entitled to. I'm going to be calling your emergency contacts personally. It won't be anyone else, so that they know that in the event of the claim, they will be paid out. Now, if you could, please give them a heads up that they'll be hearing from me. In addition, they'll choose if they want to have access to this, thanks to you, of course. Now, Joe, this policy is just on you, but the second part of this benefit is that you can extend this to your closest family members and friends at no cost to you and no cost to them. So how this works is, let's say, God forbid, you were to die in a car accident. A $2,000 policy just like yours will pay out to his or her family at no cost to you or them. All you're doing is giving them the option to take advantage of this, just like you did. Now, the ability to extend this is tied to my visit with you today because of your enrollment period. So it's important not to prejudge anyone's situation and let them decide for themselves. Now, they give you $20,000 worth of this benefit, which means you can extend it to up to 10 different families. Obviously, your emergency contacts will automatically be included, so they're already taken care of. That leaves you with 8 more. You mentioned that you knew people with kids, correct, and other families? Well, let's give this to him and her. What's their name? Okay, and how do you spell that? All right, well, Joe, make sure you give the families your extended no-cost benefits as a call or a text, letting them know that I'll be calling them in the next few days. Now, as long as they have a heads up, they're really happy. But if I call them and they don't know who is calling or why I'm calling or what I'm looking for, sometimes they can get fused, and they can honestly be upset with not only me, but also both of us. So please don't let them get confused, and let's do this as an efficient manner. Most of the times when they do have a heads up, it can be very smoothly, and I would greatly appreciate it. So please, please, please let them know, and they can make sure. So Joe and Mary, now I'm going to jump into reviewing the exclusive benefits that you must qualify for. All of the families that I see love this part of the program, and it's why 20,000 different groups handpicked American Income to handle the permanent and portable benefits for the past 60+ years. Now, the best part is you're getting access to the same exclusive benefits that groups like police officers, firefighters, and unions have had access to without having to pay with dues. So first, let's start with the needs analysis software. The reason most people don't have the right coverage is that they don't know what they need. So in a few minutes, and after I review with you, you'll definitely know where you're at. I'm going to ask you a few questions to see where you're at. Before I do, let me show you my license information here in the state of Texas, just so you know that I'm a licensed professional to handle these kinds of benefits. And before jumping into the survey, I have 3 preliminary questions to review with you. Now, the first is you must be a member of an authorized group or sponsored in by someone who is. Number 2, you must have an active checking account with a bank or credit union. And number 3, Have you or anyone in the household been diagnosed with COVID-19 virus in the past? And if so, when? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the needs analysis software. Give me one moment. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to begin with monthly income. The biggest concern families deal with is when it comes to handling the concern is affordability. They'll have to set it up where there are concerns if you are based on around 1 hour's wage per week. Now, to make sure it's accurate, what is a ballpark figure of your monthly income? Okay, and next is funeral or cremation. So Joe and Mary, I know this isn't a typical dinner time type of conversation, but have you two decided or even discussed if you are going to do a funeral or cremation? Okay, well now benefits outside of work. Now I see lots of families and some of them will have life insurance, outside of work, because you know what happens to the group benefits, right? Okay, do you have life insurance outside of work? Okay, that's perfect. How much coverage and how much do you pay for it? And when do you get it? Great. I know exactly what it is. So now we're going to move on to group benefits. So did you get death benefits through work? Okay, great. I'm very familiar with how they work. Did they let you pick them out or did you just kind of get what everyone else kind of was given? Okay. So now mortgage and rent. Do you rent on your own? Okay. What's the balance on the home? Okay. Well, now we're going to move into debt. About how much debt aside from the house, would you say that you have? Okay. Now we're going to go into college education. Have you started saving up for your kids' college education just yet? You have? Okay, well, that's great. So now I'm going to go into our mandatory read-off letter. So before I go any further, it does look like the needs analysis found some gaps in your coverage. So I am going to have to read this off to you. It does explain the enrollment process and how it works. So Joe and Mary, instead of reading this entire thing to you, let me just summarize for you in a quick manner of what it actually says. So what it is basically saying is that as if I'm going through the benefits, you're nodding your head thinking, wow, these are great benefits. And I can see why 20,000 groups approved this and why everyone's doing it. Then I'm going to go ahead and ask you to apply today. Now, on the flip side, if I'm going to go through the benefits and you're thinking to yourself, you know, these are really good and there's some great benefits, but they don't feel a need for me and my family right now, then I'm going to ask for you not to apply. Either way, yes or no, that decision does have to be made today. During your service period, in fairness to all the other members waiting to enroll, you'll see what they did and that they set it up as a no-brainer. It's going to be an easy yes or no. Does that make sense? Now, whatever you decide to do, they do want you to have an opinion in Google reviews. So what this is it's sort of my report card. I try to get a 5-star rating every single time. So it's important to stop me if you have any questions. Does this make sense? Now, Joe, will you stop me if you have any questions? Mary, will you do the same? So now we're going to move into the list of concerns. As you know, over the years, we go through contract negotiations and benefit changes at work. It gives us, it's kind of give and take. Lately, it seems like we are paying a lot more, but getting a lot less. So the company has a labor advisory board of 50 international union presidents whose main job is to provide the best wages and benefits for their members. From their feedback, along with the feedback from members like you, they came up with the list of concerns that apply to all working families, whether they're in union or not. So let me pull up the list of concerns. Just give me one moment. Okay, can everyone see? Well, the first concern is copays, deductibles, and lost wages. How's your health insurance going through work? No matter how good it is, there are always gaps that aren't covered. Doctors and hospitals are doing great. I mean, have you seen their parking lots lately? But when you or someone in your family is hurt, excuse me, I apologize, or injured, then there are lost wages as well and out-of-pocket expenses that health insurance does not cover. Now, the next concern, as you can see on your screen, is funeral and final expenses. Have you ever dealt with a funeral? You have? Whose funeral was it, if I may ask? What was that like? Well, do you know that the average funeral cost nowadays? It's around $10,000 or more. That's right. In Texas, on average, all things considered, it ends up costing at least $14,000. Now, in Texas, on average, all funeral homes want their money immediately, and this creates a lot of stress for the surviving family members. Most families don't have that kind of money just laying around, or even if they did, they didn't set aside for that. Now, the next concern is paycheck loss. Can you see that on your screen? Okay, great. Well, obviously, no matter how great your benefits are through work, they won't keep a paycheck coming into the home. This is a huge concern for surviving spouses and children. Now, the next concern is your mortgage or rent. Aside from the emotional trauma that an unexpected death can cause, having to have your surviving spouse and kids move out from their home makes everything so much worse. So what they wanted to make sure is that this wouldn't happen to families that we visit with. Now, the next concern is children's protection. Now, due to the fact that benefits don't provide any permanent coverage for kids or protection for children's futures due to something, due to a loss of both parents, they wanted to make sure that they had something in place. Now, kids, of course, are the most vulnerable to experience severe consequences from death of a parent, and that's why to us it's a top priority. Now, the next concern would be terminal illness such as cancer. Right now in the United States, for men, there's a 1 in 2 chance of developing or dying from cancer. Now, I'll tell you, those are definitely odds that I don't want to be living by. And for women, it's 1 out of 3 until the age of 65, and then it's back to 1 out of 2 as it is for men after 65. Now, it's the leading cause of bankruptcy due to illness, and it's devastating families across the United States. Now, your next and final concern is with your group benefits. Group benefits are for a group, but individuals have very different needs. More importantly, you can't rely on your group benefits because you don't own those benefits. Believe it or not, aside from your retirement, people can lose these benefits. If they are unemployed or if they have a long illness before death, they wanted to make sure you had permanent benefits that were tied to your workplace. Give me one moment. Now, truthfully, the biggest concern for everyone, affordability. Now, affordability can take care of all of these concerns. It's usually just way too expensive, since we all sit down with people making $7 an hour and some making $77 an hour. So some people are working tons of overtime, some are retired or laid off. Regardless of the situation, they wanted this to be affordable for everybody. Now, this is the way they set it up. Joe, let's imagine your boss comes up to you at work and tells you that because things have been going so well, that you would start paying for your 41 hours instead of paying you for 40. Now, with that hour, are you going to tell your wife it's time for matching Ferraris or a brand new house? Or are you going to call a travel agent and tell your wife it's time to go get on your dream vacation or your dream cruise? No, see, I don't think so. Of course not. Now, on the flip side, let's say work's a little slow, things have died down, and your boss comes up to you and would just like to sit everyone down and then send everyone home early, 1 hour early, every Friday. So you'd be working 39 hours instead of 40. Would you have to get rid of your car or cell phone? Cancel your TV subscription? See, exactly. Of course not. Now, the idea is that 1 hour, of course, is not going to change your daily lifestyle. That's why we set it up this way. So let me show you how that 1 hour takes care of all of your concerns. Now, Joe and Mary, it helps if I use an illustration to show you what's been set up for you. So Joe, let's imagine that you go into your work tomorrow. Right now, you're both at job A, which is the job here on the left. In job A, you have your normal group benefits. Now with job A, you're making $1,475 per week. But let's say you have another job opens, and we'll call this one job B. With job B, you'll have the same group benefits. You'll have the same group benefits, same coworkers, same responsibilities, same everything. But the only difference is the income. So instead of $1,475 per week, you're making $1,435 per week, which is of course about 1 hour's wage difference, which, like you said before, wouldn't change anything for you or your family in their daily lives. So let's take a look into that it didn't mean much. And they decided to put it towards something that would, which is handling these concerns is very simple and in a straightforward way. So the first benefit covers your entire family due to any sort of accident. Like I said before, health insurance and group benefits are great, but of course they do not cover everything. This program pays you up to $100 every time you go into a doctor, urgent care, or hospital for any accident or injury, whether that's a bump, a bruise, or a bee sting. So if you end up overnight in the hospital, it pays you $200 per day and double that for intensive care, or $400 per day. So let's say you have an accident and end up in the hospital for 5 days. By having this in place, it would pay you $1,000 tax-free. Considering that you're not working and making money, this will help you take care of your bills, wouldn't it? On top of that, you'll get $10,000 for the loss of one hand, a foot, or sight in one eye, and double that, or $20,000 for the loss of any two. Now, the last part of this benefit provides an additional $20,000 to $100,000 of accidental death benefit. Now, and this is, of course, depending on the type of accident. As you can see with your current job, none of this is covered. Now, the next concern has to do with your funeral and final expenses. There's a 100% chance that you'll use this one. The Freedom of Choice certificate, which you can see on your screen now, will take care of the financial burden so your family doesn't have to. The FOC has already been set up with every single funeral home. Your Freedom of Choice certificate is worth $30,000. Now, the funeral home director will simply call the number on the front of the certificate, and American Income will take care of everything for you, including sending the remaining money to your family tax-free. Now, they are using a permanent benefit to fund your freedom of choice. That way it's there when and not if your family needs it. Mary, on the worst day of your life, can you see how things would be easier for you and for your children? Right? Now, see, you don't have anything like this in place. Now, Mary, when something happens to Joe, you're probably going to miss him, right? But after a few weeks go by, aside from missing Joe, what else do you think the family is going to miss? Exactly, his income. So your program provides a total of $100,000 that pays out of any kind of death to take care of this concern. Mary, this would give you and the children income every month for 3 years, just like Joe was still there. This gives you time to figure out what you're going to do with your life, your job, and other insurance money. Right now, as it stands, there's no monthly income replacement. So besides their income, the next thing people want secured for their family, of course, is their home, where they live. That's exactly why the benefit software is recommending mortgage or rent protection. So your program includes $100,000 of coverage for you. Now, Joe, statistically, if you were to die during your working years, it's probably not going to be a health issue like a stroke or a heart attack. It'd probably be due to an accident. So this is funded by an accidental death benefit to save you money. Now, right now, your current job, they aren't going to pay your mortgage when something happens, but this program will, and it will support you throughout that entire process. Now, the next concern, which is honestly a strong one for families and those with children, just like yourselves, is the benefit software found that your children's future college education is not covered. So children's college funds is extremely important to all families. And you want to be able to put your children into schools and it not to be a financial burden. So most families I see tell me that they want their kids to have the option of going to college. Now, statistically, the biggest thing that you would prevent that this is the kind of loss of one or both of their parents while they are minors. Now, the benefit software is giving you $100,000 for the college fund, which breaks down to $50,000 for each of your two children. Huge, right? As you can see right now, you don't have any of that. Now, also included is a special $10,000 life insurance plan for all of your children, 18 and younger. That qualifies. Now, this would be great for your two children. Now, when they turn 21, they can convert this to 5 times that amount or $50,000 of permanent life insurance with no health questions. Having this in place may be their key to getting coverage later on and down the road, when they may have otherwise not been able to qualify at all. Now, your current group benefits don't provide anything permanent or even substantial enough for your children. Now, another extremely important feature of this program is that if you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, such as cancer, God forbid, you can't have access to half of your freedom. You can't have access to half of your freedom of choice and income protection benefit while you're alive. Now, typically, this is half of the whole life and term insurance. They're providing you with $65,000 for this fund. Joe and Mary, this gives you the chance to put your family in the best situation financially if the worst ever happens. Now, this will allow you to be financially supported, and of course, if anyone becomes terminally ill. Now, the remainder of the benefit would pay out to your family as a death benefit. Now, your current benefits don't provide anything there. As you can see, they thought of pretty much everything. Now, unlike your group benefits, which you can lose, these benefits are permanent and portable. So if you leave your job, retire, or leave the union, you keep these. They're yours. They're yours forever. In addition, if you are not qualified and laid off, they will cover the benefits for you for 3 months. If you ever in a situation where you'd have a qualified strike, it's up to 12 months. Now, that way, you and your family won't lose these benefits when you really need them. Now, this is always the time when you need them the most as well. By the way, you never have to pay them back. Now, Joe and Mary, now that I reviewed everything with you, I'm sure you can see why 20,000 groups choose this program above all others and why more families have our programs than any other companies because of the value. Now, this is also due to the full circle of protection it provides. I mean, Joe, if something were to happen to you, like a bad car accident, your family would receive $370,000 tax-free, all for about an hour's more wage per week. Now, with your current job, there's no guarantee, none at all, that your family would receive anything. So, Joe and Mary, If you went into work tomorrow and you had a choice between job A and job B, which job would you choose? Why would you do that? If you're making more money over here at job A because of the benefits, right? That's what everyone says. It's a no-brainer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through the health questions QR checklist. So everyone wants the benefits, but not everyone can get the same benefits, and not everyone can even get them. So as I mentioned before, I do have to see if you are qualified first. So let me run through these questions and let's see if you can qualify. Give me one moment and I'll pull them right up. Has anyone proposed insured ever been treated or advised to be treated for alcoholism or alcohol abuse, including membership in AA, or been advised by a physician to reduce alcohol consumption? No. Has any proposed insured ever used drugs not prescribed by a physician, such as cocaine, amphetamines, hallucinogens, tranquilizers, narcotics, or sedatives? No. Has any proposed insured ever had their driver's license suspended or revoked, because of a moving violation or been arrested, including arrest for driving while intoxicated or under the influence? No. Has any proposed insured, if flown within the last 2 years or intended to fly, in the last 2 years or intend to fly in the future as other than a passenger or scheduled airline? No. Has any proposed insured participated within the last 2 years or intended to participate in any of the following activities: auto, motorcycle, or boat riding, parachute jumping, skin, scuba, or skydiving? No. Has any proposed insurance ever been advised to take the test and not done so, or not received the results, been diagnosed as having or received treatment for high blood pressure, chest pain, heart attack, stroke, or any heart, blood, or circulatory disorder? No. Has any proposed insured ever had or been treated for any of the following conditions: diabetes or other, endocrine disorders? No. Now, some of these are paralyzed, epilepsy, mental disease. No. Has any proposed insured ever had arthritis or injury to or trouble with your back, knees, or any of your other joints? No. To the best of your knowledge and belief, do you have any physical impairment or departure from your good health? No. Okay. Well, we're moving along pretty good so far. So now we're going to go into section B. Has any proposed insured ever been advised to take tests and not done so, received, have been diagnosed, or having received treatment for cancer, tumor, or unexplained masses? No. Give me one moment. We'll move back to the top. So has any proposed insured ever been rejected for life or medical hospital insurance, rated or failed to receive a policy that it has applied for? No. Has any proposed insured in the last 5 years, had a physical examination, had any medical treatments, including prescription medicines, or been hospitalized? No for all three. Now, is any proposed insured currently a resident in a nursing home or ever been diagnosed as having a terminal illness, including Alzheimer's disease? No. Has any proposed insured had or been treated for any of the following conditions: asthma, emphysema, sleep apnea, or other respiratory disorders? No. Any ulcer, colitis, or other digestive tract disorders? No. Cirrhosis, hepatitis, or other liver disorders, or any blood disorder, or received a bone marrow transplant? No. Kidney, prostate, urinary bladder, or any other genitourinary disorders? No. Disease of the breast, uterus, or ovaries? No. Rheumatoid arthritis or any other musculatory disorders? No. Loss of hearing or loss of sight? No. Have they acquired any immune deficiency syndromes, AIDS, AIDS-related complex, ARC, or AIDS-related conditions? No. Has any proposed insured ever tested positive for antibodies to the AIDS/HIV virus? No. Does any proposed insured smoke cigarettes or use tobacco in any other form? No. Has any proposed insured used marijuana in the past year? No. Well, okay, so I'm not an underwriter, but based on what I'm seeing here, it does look like I should be able to get you qualified for the benefits. So this, give me one moment. Let me pull up the QR benefits one last time. So this program is set up on a once-a-month computerized deduction through your banking system. Excuse me. But before we go along, I do want you to make sure that all this information is correct. Okay, is everything looking good? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here and re-explain the program. So as I mentioned, this program is set up on a once-a-month computerized deduction through your banking system. Having it done this way gives you this discounted rate. So your program is only X amount of dollars per month. This can be handled anywhere, anytime between the 27th and the 10th of the month. Now, which date would work best for you? Now, do remember that the draft dates cannot be on the 29th, 30th, or 31st. Okay, so the 10th. Okay, because this is a member-owned program, and once it is issued, it cannot be taken away by American Income or your employer. There is an application process which we started with the health questions. In addition, this will all be signed electronically. So after we complete the application, you'll receive an email from DocuSign or have remote access through Zoom. Now, this will confirm the accuracy of the information and that you are agreeing electronically to sign these applications just as if it was your own signature. Now, the enrollment process usually takes anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks. If approved, you'll receive your policies in the mail and a congratulations letter welcoming you to AIL. Now, if denied, which I don't believe will happen in this sort of situation, you will receive today's deposit back, and you may write to American Income to request an explanation. Now, obviously, with these benefits, you are conditionally covered from the moment our call ends. So the first bank draft happens immediately within 24 to 48 hours of your application. Your bank may not reflect the draft for up to 10 days, so please ensure that the funds stay in there in order to ensure your coverage. Your first premium will be X amount of dollars. Items we need to complete the application process is 1, your driver's license, if you could grab that for me real fast. 2, your doctor's information. 3, any of your medical prescriptions taken. And 4, checkbook or bank information, your routing number / account numbers, excuse me. Now, at some point in everyone's life, they can become insurable, and that would be declined for insurance. This is usually due to either age, health, or habits. Once you are uninsurable, you typically can't get insurance again. If you are improved, there are 3 possible outcomes. First, you could be approved standard due to having minor or no health issues. The second option is that we can fall somewhere in between perfect health and uninsurable line. So because the groups we work with, we want everyone to be approved. They created a category called special risk. Now, where the program would be a few dollars more per month, in this category, you would pay exactly what someone else would pay for the same health profile. Obviously, the closer you are to the insurable line, the more the program will cost. Think of this like car insurance. Someone with a perfect driving record wouldn't pay the same as someone who's had a lot of speeding tickets or been in a bunch of wrecks. So the third option is the counteroffer. They make this offer for someone that they do not have covered in the past and has last chance to get covered. If the program comes back different than what they discussed, I will call you and let you know. If that happened, it would be a few extra dollars. Would that be a problem for you? Okay, great. So again, you may receive one or more phone calls asking to review the questions I have asked to ensure that everything is accurate on your application. In order to improve your policy, the company may need your help in getting additional records or medical information from your physician. In order to approve you, the company may send out a medical professional to conduct a physical in the privacy of your home and at no cost to you. It is important to be prepared and to be responsive during the approval process so we can get this done in an efficient and effective manner for yourselves. Now, you will be receiving, as I mentioned before, an email from DocuSign, or I will give you remote access to sign through Zoom. Now, review the benefits to ensure that there is no confusion, that everything is correct, and that it's up to your own standards and ours as well. And the summary sheet will reflect that what you are applying for today in layman terms, and it will explain it in a brief notice. Once they receive their policies from American Income Life, they should keep them in place on safekeeping until their annual review happens. So make sure you do put this in a secure, safe location, just as you will with your free will and testament. And for service folders and no cost benefits, those will be mailed to you in approximately about 2 weeks. So because of our growth, we are currently expanding our operations. Now, if you do know anyone in between positions, fresh out of school, or looking for a better career, please refer that person to me, servicing an agent, to explore potential career fit with our company. Now, if you know anyone who is bubbly, got a great personality, anyone who's looking to grow in themselves and also their career, and anyone who you think would that I'd get along great with, please refer him to me and I'll put him to the right doors and get him set up. And I would greatly appreciate it. So the final thing is our Google review, which again, is like my report card for myself. I really appreciate it. You can follow the QR code, which I'll put up at the end of our meeting. And again, number 2 is please contact all families that are sponsored in this program, just so they know that I will be calling and they'll have a heads up and that there's no tiff or rebuttal of everyone getting upset, and they'll know exactly what I'm calling for. Now, Joe and Mary, almost everyone takes advantage of this program. You know, like you, because of the value, and the cost is very, very small compared to the many benefits. Now, it's very rare, but sometimes a member cancels, could be a week, a month, or a year later. And we end up seeing these same people the same people the next service period. This is 2 or 3 years later. And they're upset because they are no further ahead than they were. Now, most people end up waiting to reapply for their benefits. Now, the problem with that is that the program is more expensive because at this point, they're older. Worse yet, some people can't even get into it because of their health has changed, or there's been an occurrence of them with a terminal illness, etc. Now, the point of this is that it's not a short-term fix. This is a long-term solution. And the longer you are into the program, the more valuable it is. So if this X amount a month is uncomfortable for you right now, let me fix it while I'm here. That's my job. I'm here to make this as smooth as possible, and I want it to be able to support your family in a cost and affordable manner. So how is everything feeling? Great, awesome. Then please make sure to keep this important program in place for your family. And the next time I see you, you'll be really happy that you did. Thank you again. I really appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I look forward to speaking with you again.